morning and welcome to the Joust. My name is Nagy. I'm here once again with my co-host Liam McNeil. Liam has been a couple of weeks, but also going to introduce our musical guest for this week, Mr. Chanel 9. Chanel 9, everyone. Thank you very much, Chanel. Now, Liam, it has been 2 whole weeks since I've seen this. 1 week that you weren't here. And I didn't know what I was doing because one half of my brain wasn't attached to my brain. It was with you securely. But you had been suffering from a bit of the seasonal cold flu.
Well, there is a bit of vision here of the end of State of Origin night. I haven't been quite right since then. It was a celebratory time in our lives. I kind of carried on partying for the last, what's it been, 2 weeks since
2 weeks,
so
yeah.
I'm just now showing my face in public again.
It's wonderful time there at the Wickham Park Hotel, of course.
It always is, of course.
After there, Game 3, Liam, Game 3 victory up there, Brisbane. They said it couldn't be done. They did it. They did it. They said the very thing they couldn't do was actually done.
Which is funny when you talk about sports. Sometimes people do the things they say they will. Sometimes they don't. You can never tell.
You can't tell.
What are you going to get?
The outcome isn't actually written. That's the beauty of sport. I've said it for years. You don't really know what you're going to get. Is it going to be a success? Is it going to be a failure? Is it going to be something you enjoy? Or is it going to be something you resent?
Or is it going to be a creamy middle?
Yeah, creamy middle.
In the middle there.
I suppose it's only a draw, really, if it's a creamy middle. When you sort of go, you're not really sure how to feel. You wake up next morning, you're not sure how to feel. You know, it's all right. It's not a loss. It doesn't sit at the pit of your stomach, but it's not a win. It doesn't sit at the sort of top of your neck.
It kind of hangs about in your lungs.
It's the lungs. It might be emphysema.
Yeah, could well be. Who knows? We can't rule it out. We're not doctors. We're not medical professionals.
Not medical professionals.
We can't stress that strongly enough.
No, but I'm glad to see that you're recovered.
I'm glad to be back.
And then you're back with us, Liam. Also, can I just say a little bit of something that's annoyed me recently? Sometimes we start a show with something you've been grateful for.
Yes.
But this is something that's annoyed me greatly, is that my house, there's gum tree at the front, right? And then quite often birds at this time of year will eat the bits and bobs off the gum tree and shit all over my car. And so I have a
your car's usually in a bad state anyway.
It's not great to start with.
Once you get the gum nut poops coming out of the tree there,
yeah,
it's a mess.
And they're thick and they dry. They do all sorts of things. So I have a hose that's right there. I'll give a quick hose down before I leave the house.
That's a very good idea.
Yeah, while the bird shit can still be sort of moved on before the sun really bakes it in. But I found my hose without the nozzle, and I was like, hang on, the nozzle's come off. It hasn't come off.
Some of the local ewes that
Yes.
been cutting your hoses to make drug pipes?
Drug pipes. That's exactly what happened. Well, I'm assuming, unless someone just decided they wanted this much amount of hose for something.
Is that what you've told Cassie, that the local youths are stealing to make drug pipes?
It would be interesting. It would be an interesting move if I was that desperate for a drug pipe myself that I've decided.
Is there Orchie bottles laying around your garage unexplained?
Is that Orchie? I thought it was a Powerade.
You can do Powerade. You can do Orchie. You can do a 2-litre black and gold lemonade if you please from the cheap aisle in IGA. It's up to you, really.
You can keep your costs down low if you're buying the cheapest drink and you're stealing your hose from whoever's stupid enough to leave the hose out.
It just depends what you want company to think of you.
That's right.
Are you cracking out the 2-litre bloody black and gold, or are you bringing out the Arctic Blue Powerade? It's up to you, really. It's up to you.
Well, that's why they offer the 2-for-1 deals. You see, you get one to drink and then one to make into a drug pipe. Liam, also, I got my fingerless gloves here, looking like a member of
I've got to wear my gloveless fingers.
Of course, just only tips. It says 10 tips that sit in your drawer, and you have to funnel them on before you go.
It's a process, but I do it gladly.
Tips get cold, as I've always said, Liam, but it's also a time where it's quite cold outside. Clouds are appearing over the Newcastle Knights clubs. Questions have been asked. We're in a dark and dreary time with finals approaching.
La Nina.
Yeah,
it's La Nina. You know, the opposite of El Nino.
I don't know. I know that there's one that's more rainy and one that's more hot.
La Nina.
Yeah.
Rainy,
yeah, cold and rainy, and it's a time for the club that we really needed a boost, but we found that boost, Liam, not in the men's portion of the club, but
which is the more traditional area where we fail.
Yes.
And so we need that kind of counterbalance of success.
The most successful club in the NRLW, of course, is the Newcastle Knights ladies.
If not the most successful club in the history of sport,
I think it might be.
100% of the competitions have been involved in.
I think so. The Newcastle Newcastle Knights coming up against the Sydney Roosters, opening game, round one.
We don't like those Roosters, do we?
No,
we don't like them.
Those fancy girls down there in Sydney.
Latte sippers down there.
And of course, we lost Ms. Elliott.
Who?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
Who's that?
She left us after our first premiership, and she said on the way out, "You can't do it again." And then laughed, and then drove away in a flash Ferrari. I'm assuming, but we did it again. We really showed her we don't need you.
We had the Toyota drivers here in Newcastle.
That's right.
We're getting around in an old Honda Civic up here in Newcastle.
It's a good, honest car. That's what I've always said for years.
Yeah. Well, they used to build Toyotas in Australia.
Yeah.
We used to be a strong manufacturing company.
Did they build
building
them?
Toyotas,
so
building Holden Commodores. We used to be a real country.
Ford, all car manufacturing. Yeah, with the two hands we built them. We used to hand stitch the seats.
No gloves.
No gloves.
No.
Fingerless gloves, maybe. But the women's game, not only have they secured us a much-needed win, boost in morale, but they've also secured us something wonderful to see, which is more of a groundbreaking for the women's game, but it's more of a callback to yesteryear, a bit of fisticuffs league.
There's been a real lull of fisticuffs in rugby league for far too long. The men weren't getting it done.
No.
The men weren't getting it done. And credit to the women, the suffragettes, they said, if the men aren't getting it done, we can do it better.
We can do
it better. And what have they gone and done?
Clench fist.
Just started throwing mugs around.
Isn't it great to see?
I love to see it. It's wonderful to see.
They were into it. They didn't hold back. It was so often the men's game you said the collar grab and the
handbags,
the short punch and
the jumper punch.
And the push, and that's about as far as we go. They say,
not the women.
Oh, the women. There's no fear in those eyes, Liam. I've said it before. And they get straight in there with their clenched fist, straight to face.
Good healthy fisting.
Yeah, and guess what? After you throw one, there's another one coming. Yeah, you got to be ready for it. It's just sparking off.
Smell the cheese.
Yeah, boom. They're not ready for it.
And the thing that I love about this is that this violent revolution has not just been restricted to because the rugby league field, because we've advocated heavily for violent assaults within the confines of the rugby league field.
Yes,
but no, they've taken it a step further. They've said anything you fellas can do, we can do better again.
Yes,
and they've taken it off field.
I think off field a fight as well. Well, that's good. I was worried for a second. Where can we go from punches in the face on the field? Maybe because the sleeves of a rugby league jersey aren't very long enough to stick a trolley pole handle up there because they'll stick out.
Same with the shorts. The shorts are really, you can't keep a trolley pole in your footy shorts.
They would have to check that. The ref usually says, "Oh, check your studs." And they brush up and down, check the studs. They'll be like, all right, check your sleeves. What do we got here? Coles trolley handle. Who put this in?
Who's got the baseball bat with nails sticking
out?
out?
You can't have that. Not anymore.
Nice try.
They used to call that the stinger. Right. That's why they had all the trainers. They had to wedge it out of the opposition's neck. But you can't have that anymore, which is a shame.
This country's gone to the dogs.
Yeah, but there's been a bit of an assault off the field where two of them, right? They're keen to get amongst it, aren't they, Liam?
Look, we've all had the ignominy of having an Uber order delivered to the wrong address.
Yes.
We don't like it. But polite society says that you should address it verbally.
Yes.
Use your words.
Use your app,
but
even.
NRLW star, will remain unnamed, decided to take it into her own two hands.
Oh, they did?
Started using them.
She
said, you've got my Uber order, I don't like you.
Now, when you're hangry, that's anger and hunger combined, and we've all been there. But I don't know if it's to take it, use the fists and the aggression and the grabbing of the throats and whatnot. But there is also the app that you can use where you can just go on and say, I didn't receive my order, and they give you a full refund. I don't know if they possibly didn't go down that avenue of a reconciliation, and they've decided to say, hang on a second, I've got two of these.
Now, Nagy, is there a gap in the market for a Tinder-esque app, but instead of finding someone for a date, you find someone for a fight?
I think I like that.
You swipe right, and you meet them down at the bike racks at 3 o'clock when school finishes down by the swamp there. You just start throwing them.
I like that. I think that's an excellent thing.
Fight Club for the 21st century.
Sometimes you
didn't like that movie.
Sometimes you just want to get a bit of, blow a bit of steam, get it off your chest, if you will, and if you find another willing participant, there you go, hammer hog down there on the asphalt. That's the way that we used to do it, and that's I'm a bit sad that the country's become a bit soft, to be honest.
Again, And then,
There's the talkback radio.
of course, there was Josh Papali'i, his sister, famously throwing fists on the sideline over the weekend at a Canberra, local Canberra women's first grade game. Something happened on the field. She didn't quite care for it. Sorry, it was Josh Papali'i's wife.
Josh Papali'i's wife.
Not his sister.
No.
Maybe sister wife. I don't know.
They might have.
But yep, she said, no,
engaged.
I don't like what happened on the field, despite being off it.
Yeah.
I'm still going to throw.
Well, of course, if we look at how that resulted with Cameron Murray, of course, from Canberra Raiders, he got 2 weeks.
Kamoli Olakawatu as well.
2 weeks as well.
That's if you he still wants to get involved.
Take it off the field. You got to decide that maybe you got to spend 2 weeks in detention. I don't know, that 2 weeks in jail.
We used to call it scab duty at school. You go around and pick up 100 pieces of rubbish.
That's always an interesting approach. I always thought from the teachers to say 100 pieces of rubbish because it's been quite it was a humiliation sort of thing. You walked around there, but also you had to find 100 pieces of rubbish. You're relying on the litterers, Liam. You have to. If there's no litterers, there's no due course to justice.
Now I think that illustrates a real problem with society, Jousters. That picking up rubbish, the most noble thing you can do for this proud country is to clean it of rubbish.
Clean up Australia Day.
An object of shame.
Yes, yeah.
We shouldn't be shamed into cleaning up our amazing, beautiful country.
No.
Clean up Australia Day. They don't pull people out of the jails and say you're doing this. They say we need wonderful, happy volunteers.
That's right. Yeah. Take 3 for the sea. They say at some beaches. Take 3 for the sea.
Scab duty at our school stood for school care and beautification.
Right.
But it was basically you're just a convict in a chain gang picking up chip packets.
Beautification. Sort of the thing. There's plenty more violence happening in a segment that we like to call the news. We've gone all technology with the news.
It's amazing what you've done with the place in my absence.
Thank you.
You've installed a whole brass band.
We have. Thank you very much, Chanel 9 there for the news intro. Wonderful there with the wonderful micro bit. Strong figure he was.
What a man.
What
a great representative for this fine city.
Now, speaking of unfortunate events, Liam, like microbit, is...
a non-violent unfortunate event.
Alex Johnston, sometimes referred to as Alex Johnson. It's the Johnston.
It's a conundrum.
It's a conundrum.
The Johnston paradox.
You don't go in confidently. You just say Alex Johnson, and then you hear the T if you want the T to be there. Of course,
you're really leaving a lot to the listener with
that's
that.
right.
Yeah,
it's up to
for interpretation.
It's up to them. He was carried off the field. Unfortunately,
now that is the face of a man who is neither disappointed nor overjoyed.
No, he's
very whelmed.
Indifferent. I think he's indifferent.
He's whelmed by this injury.
He said to himself, "Well, I have snapped my Achilles, but I still have another."
Yeah.
You got to look at the dark and the bright side of things, rough and the smooth, and all the rest.
Yeah.
Now, it was an interesting injury. It's the NRL physio does some great work.
Does fantastic work. An actual physiotherapist. He is a licensed medical professional.
That's right.
We can take his word on this.
He refers to it as when you're running, and then because it often happens non-contact, this sort of injury, and he says the feel of it is like someone kicking the back of your ankle as you do in school. Very fun game at school when someone tries to take off for a run and you kick them in the back of the ankle and then they fall over. But they look back to say, who did this? Who the hell was that?
There's no one there.
And that's
like being kicked by a ghost.
A ghost, the ghost kick.
I've been saying this for years. There is not enough injuries named after Greek mythological figures.
Yes, that's true.
Achilles is really kind of keeping it all together. He's the only one.
He's right there on the heel, the Achilles heel, if you will.
Yep.
And so we got. But the sad part about Alex is that he's just there, just touching the top.
Within a bee's dick of that try-scoring record there, isn't he?
He thinks he might get there. He's how many short is he? 17 short.
Which
or thereabouts.
Is doable in a season for a winger if you're on the younger side, on the the more green and exciting side. You can feasibly get 17 tries in a season.
Yep.
But next season, Alex Johnston he'll be one of those rugby league players who's 32.
Eldest.
You're 21 or you're 32.
That's right.
Or you're Alex Johnston and you're 25.
25.
But now he's 32.
He's caught up to his own paradox of age, and so he's they call it an elder statesman towards the end of their career.
You don't hear about many younger statesmen.
Younger statesmen, no. I think.
Where are all the younger statesmen?
J.D. Vance for the Republican Party, I believe, is a younger statesman, being half the age of his
sex with the couch, did he?
Presidential nominee. Sorry, Liam, he had sex
with the couch.
Possibly. Well, we all have at one stage or another. You got to.
We've all looked at a Chesterfield with those doomy eyes.
You know, so maybe a leather couch has just been.
I would take it as a personal offence
Yes.
if Alex Johnston managed to beat the mighty Ken Mongo Irvine for the try-scoring record, because, of course, Ken Mongo Irvine seen there bending over in disbelief that there was a camera on him.
That's right,
given that he's 1,000 years old.
Well, he's also was so tall he had to bend down to be in frame. If we see that.
Cameras weren't very big, you see.
No, they were
couldn't
tiny.
Take a picture of a whole man.
They were tiny.
You had to be seated or bending incredulously.
Back in the day, they said if everyone could get together and please basically lay down to fit in the frame.
But if he tries to take the try-scoring record from a North Sydney Bears legend, I will fist fight him. I'll fist fight Alex Johnston. I don't care.
Now, looking at the years, Liam, that Ken Irvine was scoring all of his tries, 58 to 73. That's a huge tenure there.
That was a huge tenure.
But what happened during that period,
It was a
Liam?
weakened comp. All the good, strong, honest men were over in Vietnam.
I think so too. If we look here, we got the good, honest fellas over there in Vietnam.
If you made a starting 13 of the men from Ya Drang,
yes,
it'd be unstoppable.
Yeah, I think so too. Yeah, I look at that. They were military men. They were strong. They were fit, and they were taken away from their homes and families and rugby league.
They were.
They decided. They said no. And I said, possibly Ken Irvine said, "Well, this is a bit of a picnic now. I can score tries willy nilly."
Yeah, and look at that excellent firearm, the L1A1, self-loading rifle. It's a fantastic piece of weaponry.
Yes,
very, very good.
It certainly did some shooting.
Yeah.
Fired off those bullets at will, I think you could say. As long as I said, as long as you had bullets in the gun. That's what I told the boys out there and at the Ho Chi Minh Trail.
Notice the bravery of the men. They're not even wearing helmets.
I said, boys.
Hats on.
I said, boys, if you've got the bullets in the gun, shoot them. That's what I said. And that's the way the war goes, Liam. At the time, it was a different time in Australian history.
Speaking of war in the southeast, why can't we talk about war in the boardrooms of rugby league at the highest level? And one of Australia's finest statesmen. He's a probably middle-aged statesman, I think. Adam Hills.
Adam Hills, rugby league,
finest.
Huge rugby league fan,
player, administrator. He's taking on the role as the leader. The Winston Churchill, if you will, of the Rugby Football League there in England.
I think so,
trying to steer the game to a place it's never been before.
And he's done a wonderful thing for people living with a disability to play rugby league, because rugby league is a game for all.
It is a game for all. Everyone should be allowed to be involved, and he's really been a trailblazer.
I think so.
It'd be safe to say. Popularising the game for those who have been blocked out of the game for too long.
Yes, right. If you're missing any sort of digit on your finger or leg, foot in his situation, he doesn't have one of the feet on his legs.
I don't think he has one of the legs on his legs.
One of the legs on his legs, and then he's decided to say, no, I'm going to give rugby league a go. Look at the heights that it's taken him, Liam. It's taken to the very, very highest of the English football league.
Let's be honest, the English Football League sits somewhere, below Group 21 in terms of its prominence in the world of rugby league.
Well, the good honest Group 21 people here around the Hunter as well as Scone Thoroughbreds and
the Scone Horse Festival, a wonderful festival. Rugby league.
Wonderful time, as well as the Fingal Bay Bomboras as well. I played a trial for them. I tell you what, it's frightening. It was a frightening time. They've really brought violence back into the game. It was almost like playing NRLW.
Well, it's about time someone brings humour into the game.
Oh, I think so.
We appoint all these former racing administrators, these gambling bosses, these people who have lived their lives in ivory towers. Adam Hills didn't live in an ivory tower.
No, he was there.
You know where he lived? A house with 4 walls and a roof.
That's right. He was packing into the scrums, and he was about to be tackled. He didn't know what was going on. It was that's the excitement you want. Where was the last?
He was at the coalface.
Yeah,
rugby league.
What was the last time Peter V'landys was under a bomb with huge men bearing down on him? I don't know. Does he have that fear?
Is that what the rich do on their time off?
That's right.
Men bearing down on them, perhaps.
That's what you need. You see. But Peter V'landys, of course, is covered in hair grease. Yes. So he was a slippery Pete, as we've often referred to him as. I don't think Abdo has ever seen a Steeden in his life.
He used Gilbert's in South Africa.
He's from. He saw a Steeden on a table and he gave it a pat.
What's his oblong sitting in front of me?
He goes, shush, hush, and then he retracted like it was going to bite him. That's how divorced he is, Liam, from reality. From the
common
game.
Man.
From the common.
He can't relate.
No.
He wouldn't be sitting here in a bathroom talking about rugby league.
No,
he'd be doing it in the boardroom at bloody Moore Park.
I think so.
Sitting on a cushion.
Hoity-toities.
Hoity-toity.
Unlike, I tell you what,
wine that bubbles.
Yeah. I think there is. an unfortunate thing for rugby league happening at the moment. The Tigers. It's not.
Well, it's been unfortunate for a long while.
Well, they've had a short but consistent fall down the stairs, haven't they? And they're already at the bottom, but they found a new flight to jump down.
It's like I've always said. I don't understand the saying you've hit the bottom of the barrel and that's your lowest point. You can get lower because the barrel usually sits on earth.
That's right.
So you can break through the wood of the bottom of the barrel and just keep digging.
There's a new floor.
There's no bottom of a barrel.
And Benji's come in at the beginning of this year after the 1-year tutelage of Tim Sheen,
who gave himself the job by saying your coaches are bad.
Yes.
We need to appoint a new coach.
Being me.
Hang on, I'm a coach.
I'm a coach.
Isn't that convenient?
Want to give the job to me, and then he was quickly ousted by his protege in a sort of, I guess, a bit of a Sith Lord sort of a rise to prominence there, where he's cut Tim Sheen's down and probably removed an arm with a lightsaber.
Yeah. With Benji's the Sarah Palin coming into to Tim Sheen's John McCain.
That's right, from straight there from Alaska, with not much coaching experience, but coming in with players like John Bateman, Liam. John Bateman,
a man famously of the same age.
Yes,
it must be hard to coach a man so similar in age to yourself,
and also a bit of a prick by all accounts. He's not someone that likes to back down from an argument.
Well, they don't smile in the north of England where he hails from.
There's nothing to smile about.
It's a very sad region.
That's up there. It's always dark.
Once Maggie Thatcher shut the coal mines,
it's
ruined the country.
Liam, it's cold here for about 6 weeks. It's cold up there for about 6 years at a time, and it brings on
It was a lovely tropical holiday for him.
That's right. He felt very at home there, and then so he's gone to the Tigers, and
he didn't realise there's no coal mines in Leichhardt.
Yeah,
he hates it.
only managed the 3 wins last year, and I think this year himself only playing in 2 wins. So
and not particularly well either.
Well, hasn't been a very fruitful time for John Bateman and his AI legs there with his skirt, and a handful of games really. And he's decided, hey guys, I'm out. I'm going to go back to Super League.
Blighty.
Old Blighty.
Well, he heard Adam Hills was taking over. Big Spicks and Specs fans, John Bateman.
He said, no, I must go back.
He called up, he said, is Miff still around? And Adam said, yeah.
And Miff there with a huge pair. And
big set of skin footies.
A couple of...
You started that one.
We said we wouldn't do it. But also, it was not the only players leaving. Of course, Isaiah Papali'i was a recent signing.
Stefano Utoikamanu seems to be looking like he wants to go elsewhere.
Lachlan Galvin asked for a release every other day of the week. He gets over his Weet-Bix and he goes, "Hey, what? I wouldn't want to play for the Tigers another week. Shit!" And then he realises again, asks for a release.
What was your Weet-Bix record now? The most Weet-Bix you ever had?
I think it was 22, but that was only that was in competition with the Seth Bowes.
I thought my baker's dozen was pretty good. 22.
No, that was to set out to see how many I could do. And at the time, I didn't have much money, you see. And Weet-Bix, when you got a full box of Weet-Bix, it's meal for days or weeks, possibly.
Did you have Uncle Toby's Vitabrits?
Yeah, well, that's Uncle Toby's and the sanitarium have always been sort of a bit argy-bargy there in the breakfast market, trying to make the most deliciously fruity wheat covered in milk breakfast, which is an interesting market to sort of go into battle for someone.
Who do you think was the first person to put chunks of wheat in milk and say, here's what we're going to have in the morning every day?
It'd have to be the First World War. Surely someone at the First World War would just say, look, we've got stale wheat.
Bricks of wood chips back then.
That's right. Wood chips, stale wheat, stuff that we've scooped up from the bottom of the chicken coop, and we'll mix it all together. There's got to be some minerals in there somewhere, probably from the earth and the shit. And then we'll put them in a delicious biscuit, and we'll cover them in milk, and hopefully no one asks any questions.
They're very austere Weet-Bix.
Yeah.
Like if you get up and you have Weet-Bix, you're not saying, I'm going to have a wonderful day. I'm going to get through this.
Yeah.
I'm going to survive today.
And you have to make sure if you cover the milk, and then you can put the sugar on it. Some people put honey as well.
I like them soggy. Were you a soggy Weet-Bix?
You got to wait for them to get soggy.
Did you ever put a bit of hot water in first?
No.
That's if you feel real fancy.
Some people put hot milk in. Hot milk. I don't agree with that at all.
Serial killers. Jeffrey Dahmer had hot milk on his Weet-Bix.
Yeah, that's what I've heard. Huge Weet-Bix fan.
From Jeffrey Dahmer's Weet-Bix, we moved to
Mrs. Brown's buttered chicken, everyone.
Mrs. Brown's buttered chicken. Mrs. Brown, you're trying to seduce me.
Thank you, Mrs. Brown. It is. It's an interesting thing with Mrs. Brown. You see, when we come to recruitment, Liam, and the Newcastle Knights have made a.
See, Benji was making tikka masala. That's why
everyone's straight out of there.
Tikka masala.
They only have it once. They said never again. Matt Arthur, Liam. This might the Arthur name might ring a bell as far as
the most
the
hated man in Parramatta. Apparently, they really turned on him quickly, didn't they?
Well, he had a couple of sons there, Brad Arthur. One of them played in the grand final and actually scored 2 tries. Am I not mistaken there? Maybe scored a try. Jake Arthur, 1 try.
Which, as far as grand finals go, scoring a try in one is relatively rare.
That's pretty good.
You only have maybe a half dozen people who score tries in grand final every year.
Every year. At all.
He's one of them. He's one of them. You know, you can never take that away from him.
He's got that on his record.
The Parramatta fans wanted to take that away from him. They didn't like him.
They didn't like him. Too skinny. He's the coach's son. We don't want him. But we've got the other brother, Liam. The other brother.
Very short. I think there's been a glaring hole for a very short hooker ever since Tom Starling left.
Yes.
Because we had Tom Starling, Danny Levi,
short
Simon
man.
Wolford's nephew, Zach. They're all short, stout men.
Tiny guys. Yeah. So
there's been a gaping tiny man hole in the Knights squad ever since they left.
Tiny hole, if you will, to be filled. And so we've signed Matt Arthur straight there. He's a recent graduate from the Jack Cocker School of Unremarkable Boys.
The ink's still drying on his certificate there on the wall.
Wonderful facility there. Now, I won't say a bad word about the facility. They do train the boys to be incredibly unremarkable. And then when they're
still waiting on a call back from the Ivy League. Their application's in the mail.
Just when they really pick the most unremarkableness, then you get the trophy, you graduate. They say, thank you very much. It's time for you to play some very, very basic NRL.
Yeah. In and out of the squad.
Yeah, I think so.
Rarely in, mostly out of the squad.
Mostly out. In, out. But hopefully we can get our hopes up with Matt Arthur there playing a bit of hooker.
Yeah. Turn him into a fella. He can be a proper rugby league fella.
Yeah. It's so we're going to have a halftime break, Liam. We're going to come back for the second half of the Joust. But thank you, Chanel 9, and we'll see you in the second half.
This is Brown.
Butter chicken.
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 Welcome back to the second half of the Joust. Thank you very much, Channel 9 over there, our musical guest for this week. Wonderful player. Liam, it's good to be back for the second half. However, Liam,
Do you have a musical background, Nagy?
No.
Did you dabble in the arts growing up?
Trumpet. Yeah.
It was more a woodwind guy. Piano, a bit of saxophone, bit of classical guitar.
Oh, I see. A bit of
flamenco.
Well, bit of everything.
Yeah, couldn't do it if you paid me money now.
No, trumpet's a bit of a difficult one. I thought it was easier than the saxophone because the saxophone seems to be like just an instrument full of keys. It's all ball buttons, but the trumpet's got 3. But now they won't tell you this when you start, but it's actually keys in different orders, and you have to do different things. So I don't think I'll be.
See, that's big trumpet. They make it look easy to lure the children into playing the trumpet.
That's how they get them.
Say, bam, it's hard.
They're bastards. They've done it to us again. Yeah, before you know it.
Big trumpet industry again.
Yeah, you've already got your lips wrapped around a bit of brass, and they say it's hard. Hey? Liam, it's disappointing that we didn't have a game to review this week. Of course, we played the bye. The Newcastle Knights had the bye,
but again, being a Knights fan, even the bye troubled me. I was concerned about what the bye could do to our wonderful rugby league club.
Yes,
and it's thrown a bit of a spanner in the works.
Now,
we'll come back to that in a moment.
Coming off the back of 2 quite significant losses,
bad ones, bad ones,
and we've got
not good.
But if the Manly game and the other, who else did we? Can we ask the Boffins who else did we lose to in the last 2 weeks? It was Manly, and then we lost to Brisbane.
Those Broncos. Those troublesome Broncos.
Yeah. And we thought, okay, we can't get over Manly, who was a bit of an upstart. We can't get over Brisbane, who was coming off 6 losses.
And even seemed to be a team on the rise.
Even though they lost last round. But unfortunately, coming up against, now we don't have a Candy Crush, Liam. It can't be an easy one. Just like the trumpet, it's going to be hard. It's going to be against the Penrith Panthers, Liam.
Yeah, put your mouth and blow on that, boys.
Yeah.
Oh, God, good luck to you. Yeah.
It's 2 p.m. there on Sunday. Now, there is always a chance, just like the New South Wales Blues had a chance to win the series, and it was the best place to watch was the Wickham Park Hotel.
It really was. It was a wonderful time out there back in the beer garden. Newcastle's finest beer garden, if not the world's finest beer garden.
2 p.m. on a Sunday, eating a Joust burger, wrapping your lips around one of those would probably
Sunday
be the
roast, mate.
Ooh, Gravy City. And it'd be the best place to watch it if you're going to watch it anyway. You're not going to go down to Penrith. I think that's way too far.
Let's face it, it's going to be disappointing.
Well, it might
It's going to be a disappointing game of footy to watch.
But there's always the miracle, Liam. The miracle is always a possibility. And if I was hoping for a miracle, I'd like to be around Newcastle Knights supporters.
That'd be wonderful. Yeah,
When
it's
the
the best
miracle-
place to experience a miracle.
When that happens, when Callum Ponga finally walks on water, I know it's in him. I know he can do it.
He's just been swimming up till now, treading water.
He's just been treading. The ceiling's much higher.
Yeah.
A whole full body higher, if you will, so he can actually tread on the fluid. But the the team list came out. Now, Liam, I had one look at the team list for Penrith Panthers, and I thought, hang on a second, this is a very, very formidable side.
It's a lot of very good rugby league players all in the same group.
Yes.
It's like they've taken a group of men and said, we're going to have the best of the men, but most of the best of the men on one team.
One team.
Yeah.
I think it's unfair. I've said it for a while that I think the Penrith Panthers are just far too good. Maybe they should just sit out for a year and enjoy
Just
their
have a
wins.
rest, boys. Just have a rest.
They're running out of fingers to put rings on.
They should rest on their laurels for a bit.
I think so, yeah. Laurels, I think, is something underappreciated to rest on. A lot of people rest on mattresses, maybe rest on the sand. No one's resting on laurels anymore.
Some people are resting in peace.
That's right. Plenty are.
But what's the laurel you're resting on? Is it the laurel wreath that was so common in the Olympics in the early days? They didn't have medals.
That's
so
right.
they just stick a bush on your head.
And then you put your head back and you rest on it. That's how that's resting on the laurels, you
there
see.
you go.
Yeah. That's definitely not. Maybe someone from the Joust.
We'll just take any excuse to harken back to ancient Greece.
One of our Jousters
What a
go up
time.
and tell us what resting on laurels means. But there's a couple of notable omissions from the Penrith side, despite being a very, very formidable rugby league side. We don't have Dylan Edwards at the back, your boy from Sawtell.
One of the most formidable. In fact, no, Bellingen.
Yeah,
Boy
from Bellingen there, yeah. And then, of course, Nathan Cleary comes back to the side, and he casually comes back, finds form last week of 3 tries against the Dolphins. Like 3.
Which is a handsome amount of tries for a fella coming back from not much footy.
Yeah.
It's concerning.
Halfback's not known for scoring 3, but he said, I'm going to do it.
Yeah.
Okay.
If anyone's going to do it, it's going to be Nathan Cleary.
Yes, Nathan Cleary, come back there. But the Newcastle Knights have also made some changes. Now, this won't shock you for AOB, Liam. This won't be a surprise for Adam O'Brien. He's decided to shake up the spine.
Now, Nagy, is this a bit of a case of shuffling the deck chairs on the Titanic?
Are we going
or
down?
Have we already sunk? Are we down?
Are we
at
going
the bottom
down?
of the Atlantic?
It seems like a point
Did
of...
we even make it out of the port in Belfast?
No.
Sorry, Southampton.
They didn't. They did. It was built in Belfast.
It is, yeah.
They're good Irish boys
It was.
and ladies. I'm sure built. Do you know that's where the if you go to Belfast, Liam,
I've been there.
and they refer to the toilets as the minutes. I'm gonna pop off to the minutes and take a piss and whatnot. And it
Why
was
do they call it the minutes now?
well when they were building the. Hang on one second. Just line. Hello, Nagy speaking.
Hi. The phrase idiom resting on your laurels dates back to ancient Greek and Roman traditions where victorious Olympians or generals wore crowns made of laurel wreaths as symbols of victory, success, and status.
Thank you very much. I think it was Billy Peden calling up. It's good to keep in touch with the show. Thank you, Billy. And
So I was right.
You were basically correct. Yeah,
I have to
thank you.
celebrate the
That's
victories
right,
where
yeah.
I can because I don't get them often. Go, Liam. Well done.
It's so when the shake up of the spine, Liam. It's they've decided to say no. Look, Jackson Hastings not good. I'm going to drop him. Got to drop him back to reserve grade. But
Which famously he enjoyed last time it
Yes.
happened. He had a great time. He got put back to reserve grade. He went and kicked rocks.
But AOB has decided it's the Order of the Phoenix in Phoenix Crossland coming into 7. Now Phoenix hasn't
That was a
played.
great book, The Order of the Phoenix.
yeah.
I read it in one night.
Yeah,
I
you
took the following day off school. I bought it. Just read it.
Yeah. I don't
Cover to
think
cover.
I didn't mention about the minutes before. Sorry,
the minutes.
When they were building the Titanic, if you were one of the builders, there, you only had 1 minute if you wanted to take a toilet break, and that was your.
That's not long enough.
No, it was not long enough at all. But that's why they call them the minutes. You have 1 minute off to go take a piss, and much like we do here at the Wickham Park Hotel, because we're surrounded by porcelain. So Phoenix Crossland, I haven't seen Phoenix play halfback since the early AOB days. I think 2020.
Remember, Phoenix came through as a halfback.
Yes.
Through his youth, he was a halfback. When he was coming into first grade, he was highly touted as a halfback, and then he wasn't very good at it.
Well, do
you reckon he'll be good at it now?
I don't know, Liam. He certainly, I tell you what, something about Phoenix. He has a bit of get up and go about him.
He does get up and he does go.
There's no fear. He's sort of like plays like the women do. There's no fear in those eyes. He's already got the long hair. I don't know. I'm not saying he's a woman, but have we checked? There has to be. Who's
checking these things?
Phoenix?
Who is confirming this prior to the game?
If you want to play,
checks your stud, checks your boys.
Yeah, checks
if you got a pair of steeds.
Maybe that
around
they do.
Your legs.
They do that with their hands, and they say, "Okay, there's no sharp studs. Maybe they need to do a bit of this,
a little bit of a
bit of the hello."
Grab the boys and cough.
Everyone cough. You have to have a cough ready. You can't just breathe out. You say, no, cough, give us one. I don't know if anyone's checked Phoenix, but he certainly has the tenacity of a woman. And I like that about him. Yeah. I've always liked that about him ever since he was a young bloke or woman coming through, a young boy or girl, I don't know, it's undescribed, but he's coming in there in the number 7, and I tell you what he did at the end of that Brisbane game, Liam, which wasn't a game that was very well
played. It wasn't well played by the Newcastle Knights.
But I tell you what, when Phoenix had his hands on the ball, much like the referee should, they certainly played a bit better. I like he taxed the line, he taxed the defence. He's definitely no fear of playing in the middle, and also we uncovered him as a very, very good hooker. Potentially, we can uncover him as a very, very good halfback. Possibly as a very, very good front row winger. I don't know. Can he coach? Can we get him in? He can do it all.
Well, I think the inclusion of the Prime Minister of the School of Unremarkable Boys, Jack Cogger himself, in the number 14 jersey.
Welcome back, Jack.
Welcome back, Jack.
Yeah.
Maybe gives a bit of a clue as to how they're going to use Phoenix, because Jaden Brayley, we don't think can play 80 minutes anymore in this day and age.
No.
With the way the rugby league game is going.
That's right.
With the way that what's his name?
I'm not sure. You haven't said it. Jaden Brayley, yes, the Marine.
That,
yes.
His body is
breaking down
and failing him so often, as it so often does.
Yep.
Is there a chance that we see Phoenix slipping into the hooking role early in the game, perhaps?
And we
is Cogger on the bench a bit of an insurance policy?
Welcome back, Cogger, maybe, as if he may be a bit the rough and tough student that turns into a teacher and then teaches all the students, including John Travolta, Vinny Bobavino, I believe it is. Bobavino's definitely not right. Bobberino, Vinny Bobberino.
I'm not sure. I'm not getting the link there.
It's the Welcome Back Cotter. You see, Welcome Back to Cotter is the show.
Was in that.
That was his first show.
Stay tuned for our off-season program, High Travoltage.
We're just looking at all of John Travolta's great works.
Yeah.
But it's we're going to need these kind of players like Phoenix, who is who has these sparks of form and has done some incredibly good work at hooker. Now he's our preferred hooker. Can he be our preferred half? Not sure, but he has come through the system.
Can a man play two positions in rugby league at once?
Hooker,
obviously, with the exuberance that he has,
you have to pass to himself.
Could he pass the ball from the ground at hooker, quickly run,
catch the ball
to halfback, catch the ball, and then promote it onto his outside man,
which will also be him as well, but possibly him playing.
Has it been done? Will it be done? Should it be done?
I'm not sure.
It should.
Outside man as well. Possibly put him at centre.
Yep.
Passes to himself again. Gets a winger 1-on-1 with himself, and then scores the try. I don't know. It has never been tried, Liam.
It hasn't been, and I think it should be. But I think the selection of Phoenix at number 7 in the halfback role, it brings about a much larger question to be had in what is going on with the monk on leave, Jackson Hastings. Has he been, has he been called back to the monastery?
Yeah, possibly.
As the Friar Tuck over there said, we miss Jackson so much for his outreach and work in the community as a monk.
We need him.
We don't need him on the rugby league field. We need him there, Bible study.
Pontificating about religion and whatnot. That's what they do over there.
Because there is rumours, Nagy, that he will be going back to the big monastery in the great north of England, perhaps.
That's right, yeah.
Is that what they're saying, Nagy?
That's what they're saying. The former Man of Steel, Jackson Hastings, has been linked with Super League. Now, we're not sure if this is confirmed or not, but he has, he does have have a history of basically shitting the bed with the club and saying, fuck you, I'm leaving. And this is a definite possibility that he's doing this again. I don't think anyone's going to be...
People sure do hate him.
Got to be surprised.
Every club he plays at, people sure do dislike him.
They certainly don't have a liking for him.
Rumours are going around that there'll be a lot of people chipping him in to ship him off.
Is it expectation, Liam, about Jackson Hastings that we find ourselves sort of not being too upset that if he leaves? Now, let's say Phoenix Crossland plays as well as Jackson Hastings as halfback. Do we give him a full round of applause, or do we simply say no, you're only as good as the bloke before you? You're also shit. It's difficult to come across when we're chasing wins, coming off two very uncomfortable losses, and if we look at the form guide between the two teams of Penrith and our very own Newcastle Knights. 2 losses into...
The favoured tradition of losing to Penrith by 8 points.
Yes, we love that. We love doing that. 8 points seems to be a good margin we were quite happy with.
Yeah.
Backslapping mediocrity, as I've always called it, where we say...
As is the Newcastle Knights way.
Which
For so long we've prided ourselves on celebrating and backslapping mediocrity, haven't we?
Yes, yeah. It doesn't seem like we're on the up. Penrith seems like they've just continually find these ways to win with even the 2 of their good players with Fisher Harris and Dylan Edwards out, and we're not even we're a bit of a shade off our best side if we go back to the team list there. It seems like we still don't have a chance in hell.
No, it doesn't now.
And even though it's in hell, it's also in Penrith, which is almost like hell.
Well, it's very cowardly to tip against your own team, Nagy, but I think I'm going to take the cowards option this week.
Yes, it does seem like that our very best players, even with Kalen Ponga, we'll notice that Dylan Lucas is taking the centre. No Bradman Best. I will note that Bradman Best has appeared in every one of our 8 wins this season. I'm not saying he's the key to victory.
I am.
Yeah, he might be the
Bradman, no Knights.
He might be the key to victory, but there is an inclusion also of a young upstart fullback. Fletcher Sharp is now appearing on the wing. Now he's not a typical big bolstery winger that you might see. He
doesn't really fit the mould of the modern day winger. You know, the man who takes the big hit ups coming out of your own end. That kind of 4th and 5th front rower.
That's right.
Which is the role that the modern winger plays, and the role that the Penrith wingers are so ridiculously
good,
unfairly good at.
Unfairly.
Where now Fletcher's a powerful young boy.
He is.
He's got strength through the hips.
Long hair.
Can he fulfill that role of the meter-eating, hard-working yardage winger? Or is he going to be a bit of a harkening back to the glory days of the speedy finishing winger?
No, I said
back when wingers were just men who hung around football players.
I've been calling Adam O.B. I give him his full name or his abbreviation. He's somewhere in between. That he has to pull the trigger. He had to do something. And we couldn't put Christian Mapapalangi out there once more to watch basically a very, very public humiliation happen once again. So I like the fact that he's put the fullback, who did very well at fullback.
He's been wonderful. Sharp. He's been very, very good.
He's going to put him out the wing, because I've always thought I've said it earlier, if you can play wing and play fullback.
Oh, I played wing and then played fullback for a lot of years.
If anything, it typically is, if your fullback gets injured, your winger takes a spot. He's like the understudy, if you will. So now him and Kalen Ponga are both going to be out in the field at the same time.
Now that excites me. That thought does give me a bit of a zhuzh in my pants there, thinking about those two boys getting around and just mixing it up. Do you think that's what Adam O'Brien said to Fletcher Sharp?
I think he
said, just get out there and just mix it up,
Mix
buddy.
it up. Get out there. Get dirty, he said. Get down and get dirty and then he got really grunty, Adam O'Brien, and he sort of went ultrasonic.
He's got a grunt.
And they said, can someone put a blindfold around Adam O'Brien? He's got too excited. That's how you calm him down, you see. You have to really ease him. But going from 11th, which is, thank you very much for the bye, not putting up too much of a fight, giving us the 2 points there. We are back in that conversation around the 8. Now, a win over the Penrith Panthers will put us right back in that conversation, Liam.
And what a conversation to be a part of.
Yeah.
It'd be like being there at the Potsdam conference all over again.
I think so. Which conference?
Potsdam.
Of course. Yeah. When was that?
In Potsdam.
Of course. What was that about again?
The war.
The war.
This is such as the magnitude of this conversation that we're having at the Newcastle Knights.
Up against it, the war. Fighting boys. Yep. Which war was that, Liam? Remind me. Remind
War II.
the second one. I knew it was one of the big ones.
Yeah.
And it's the biggest opposition that will come up against Penrith Panthers. They're basically Nazi Germany, and in terms of
we've got in trouble for that one before,
we've immediately been demonetised. So coming up against
they do all dress in black.
They do. Connections have been made. They are not saying Ivan Cleary is a fascist. He's a fascist that runs an ultra-nationalistic team.
We're not saying that.
Not saying that.
Not
We're
saying that.
clearly not saying that. That are a good, honest expeditionary force of the Newcastle Knights are heading down there to win the game and might be cut off and have to make a civilian retreat across the channel. Not saying that, Liam, but I am saying that looking at the teams above us and right up until possibly 7th there's a bit of a log jam.
Well, I'm log jamming.
Which one's log jamming?
So we certainly have a log jam for the first time this season. That we're amongst Liam sitting there at 11th.
The Knights are traditionally a part of the log jam, but usually in the bottom half, which we currently are the bottom half of the log jam. Because there is 7 teams we think feasibly in the log jam here.
Yes, yep.
And we are number 5.
If we're looking at the log jam team list there, Liam, there are teams that we have beaten before.
Yes, but there's also teams that have beaten us before.
That's correct. That's the beauty of the log jam. You don't know which way it's going to go. So we've beaten the Dragons comfortably.
In the wet.
We've beaten the Raiders. We've even beaten the Dolphins. Yeah,
the Dolphins.
Yeah. And so it's going to rely on these teams, Liam, also performing badly when we're performing quite well.
Well, that's the thing now. The worst thing that can happen to you as a rugby league fan is to start discussing the mathematical chance of making the 8. And we're at that point already. There's 2, 4, 6 rounds to go.
Yeah.
And we're already relying on, the unpredictability of mathematics to get us into the finals.
We would hope that potentially, I think 13 wins typically gets us there. Now we've got 8, meaning that we have to win 5 over the last 6.
Well, that's a lot.
That's a lot when you still need the 5 and you can only drop one game.
And let's face it, we're going to lose against Penrith, so we'll have to win 5 of the last 5.
5 of the last 5. So then we got the Tigers, which I think
very winnable.
Everyone thinks, they fall.
Although they have the Bateman bounce back. They finally got rid of Johnny. He's back in the mines up there in Manchester or wherever he may be from.
They're falling apart there. We're already pretty stretched. The Sharks tend to shit the bed a bit this end of the season.
Traditionally only against top 8 teams, though.
Yeah. Oh, that's true. We won't be in the top 8, which could be unfortunate.
Very unfortunate.
For the mathematics, of course. And then the Rabbitohs, hopefully Latrell's...
The resurgent Rabbitohs they were, but no longer are.
No longer, no Latrell, no Alex Johnston. And then hopefully the 2 home games against the Titans, we typically give them a good spanking at home. And then the Dolphins, which I do believe, Wayne Bennett will already have 1 foot out the door.
You think they're going to be limping out the door, but knowing the way that...
I'll be surprised if Wayne isn't already wearing Rabbitohs insignia at this stage.
Knowing the way that Wayne's players, react to Wayne, the way they are about him, I'm worried they're going to put up a fight and say, Wayno, it's your last chance, buddy. We're going to do it for you.
Fight out of spite, you think, possibly,
Spite is a very powerful motivator.
It is. It certainly is.
And so I think I'm concerned that they'll say, Wayne, we're doing it for you, buddy boy.
We got the Dolphins there sitting currently at 8th. Jermaine Asako seems to kick every conversion opportunity that he's been given. We're not sure if Mark Tukey, our conversion coach, has gone over there and given a bit of tutelage there. Tutelage, that's what he calls it. And then he laughs as well. He slaps the players on the back and they say, oh, you're getting a bit close, Mark. That's how he is, though. He's a big figure in the game.
He's a big man.
He's a big
personality.
That's what they call when someone gets a bit close. He says,
he's a cult figure.
A cult figure,
Like, cult figures are always just fat guys.
Fat people,
If someone's referring to you in the NRL as a cult figure, you got to shed some weight. Just cut a few kilos.
You got to lose a few pounds. You see, that's basically what they're saying.
Carl Webb, another great example.
He was cult figure. He was cult. Yeah, anyone that's carrying it. It doesn't.
Alan Stafare from the Dolphins, cult figure because he weighed 120 kilos.
If you can do athletic things without looking like an athlete, you suddenly become a cult figure.
Dean Witters, the greatest example of the cult figure.
The greatest bench player.
He was a fella who was the best bench player of all time. He was not a well-built fella.
No.
But he became a cult figure because he was good.
He certainly was. And that Jack Bostock.
What a strong name, Jack Bostock.
Huge player as well.
Very good rugby leaguer.
If we go over to the next team that we might be looking at for the Canberra Raiders, of course, stuck in this log jam.
Reece Stewart's had a log jammed up him somewhere.
Yeah, not happy.
It looked like that on his face.
Chewing away on his nicotine gummies. So Ricky's really struggling with letting that go. The hard darts, he calls the when he reds.
I tried to use Nicorette gum to quit once. It was so spicy and bad, it just made me want to punch someone. So I cold turkeyed instead. It was terrible.
Yeah.
It's like chewing on pure capsaicin. I didn't like it.
Right. Well, they're hoping you get off of you, so they're trying to wean you off something. They want to make it taste terrible.
Made me want to smoke more.
More, yeah. That's what those
Maybe just want to spit it out and light up a bloody menthol.
Xavier Savage seems to be finding his way very well around the NRL park now as a younger fella.
Almost won the game against the Newcastle Knights recently.
Almost, a fingertip away.
So
but
they're one of those ones, they're kind of hovering there.
They love to hover.
Whether they're rising or sinking.
They don't know.
They don't know.
No.
It's such a confusing team, the Canberra Raiders. And, of course, we've got the St. George Illawarra Dragons, another team that have been very confusing, but they look like they're regressing somewhat. So they're ahead of us in 10th, but they seem like they're a sinking 10th. They're not a 10th who are going to make a race up the ladder.
Zach Lomax, of course, is an interesting player with having done so well at Origin level. Yep. They're pursuing with him at centre, but he might be a position
he hates at a club he doesn't want to be at, and playing the best football of his career.
Don't you love it? They're going to be a surprise package, I think, and they also have a very tough run home. Our very own Newcastle Knights. Seems that Jaden Bradley is leading the amount of tackles,
which is quite something, given he hasn't been playing 80 minutes week in, week out. The man just loves tackling people.
And of course, Bradman Best there with 7 tries, leading our try scoring, which is
low. That's low. 7
low.
Tries and leading try scorer for the Newcastle Knights, I think, says a lot about why our for and against is disgusting.
And averaging, like ourselves as Newcastle Knights team, only averaging 17, but conceding 23. Now, Liam, I don't think that is a winning formula.
No, again, it's the whole mathematics is escaped. Never at any point in the Knights' kind of history have they said, score more points and you'll win, less points and you lose. They don't tell us these things.
Now, the Warriors have decided to play better without Sean Johnson, which is an interesting approach, but they seem to be doing it okay.
Well, Sean Johnson's coming back. So
we could see them at the bottom of the ladder.
Hopefully, they'll drop a few spots with Sean Johnson's smile.
I think so, with cheeky smile. I think that's completes the log jam. There might be, of course, the Brisbane Broncos need to win every game from this point, even despite their grand final squad where they seem like they were robbed. Well, 22 points conceded and on the average scored and conceded, which is again an interesting approach if you want to hit net zero.
Well, I remember maybe 3 or 4 years ago, the Sharks made the semi-final, or the Sharks made the finals in 8th position with. It was 26 rounds, I think. So 13 wins, 13 losses, and a points differential of 0.
A couple of buys.
The literal epitome of a mediocre season. But Brisbane are an interesting one. They've been waiting so long for their star players to return. Everyone's they've got their guys coming back. The guys came back and they lost. They got touched up.
They couldn't do it against the Dogs.
Came back against Newcastle. They said, they've got the guys back. They're going to win.
They got the momentum back.
They They didn't, though. And so we worry maybe the Broncos. Do they have one last kick in them?
I don't know.
Have they got one last whip of the horse on the home straight? Or are they going to have to take it out the back and send it to the knackery?
God bless the knackery.
We'll have a whole big truckload of clag glue coming in.
There won't be a hungry dog left in Brisbane. Because that's the job they make food. No.
That's a deep cut there.
Liam, if we're going to have it, you're going to be tipping against the Newcastle Knights, thinking that it's too steep of a hill to climb.
Yeah, it's one of those games where I saw it and I was like, I'm just going to rock instead.
Do you think Kalen Ponga could possibly pull something out of the hat?
If anyone can, it'll be Kalen. He's got his hat on there, his lovely little head protector there. If anyone can pull anything from under a hat, it's Kalen Ponga.
We have Kalen Ponga with our hopes, and they have the 5 players players in front of you there: Nathan Cleary, Jerome Luai, Brian To'o, Moses Leota, and of course Isaiah Yeo, ready to possibly break the spirits of the Newcastle Knights. But gee, I hope
of a
they
whole
don't.
city. I hope they don't. For the sake of this city, a city still reeling from the closing of BHP, reeling from the 1989 earthquake. I hope the boys can get up and do it.
I hope they do too, and I hope that.
There's parts of Hunter Street that are still torn asunder from that earthquake.
Yeah.
It's been a tough road back.
Yeah. And my heart has been torn as well. I was only 2 weeks old at the time and survived it. You might be surprised to hear.
I always knew you were a survivor. There's a strength and a stoicness about you that only comes from surviving tragedy.
I think my biggest fear is that if I fall into a coma and then my friends and family are around me at the hospital bed and the doctor they say, is he going to make it? And they say, I don't know, is he a fighter? And they all just look at each other and go, not really. Not really. He's probably going to succumb to the slightest of illness at this point. Jousters, if you like us, you can find us on all of these social pipes, including Facebook, YouTube, SoundCloud, Spotify, TikTok, Instagram, and Apple Tunes.
Still no Twitter.
Still no Twitter.
We'll get that Twitter going.
We'll get there, all those social pipes. But it'll be wonderful if we could see the Newcastle Knights take away the win against Penrith Panthers.
It'll also be wonderful to see pigs fly in the air with the wings that they've sprouted somehow.
I'm looking forward to it for the flying pigs of the Newcastle Knights, and seeing you again next week, Liam. It would be wonderful to see,
wonderful to be back,
and seeing all you again. And wish we will at the same bat time, the same bat channel. We'll see you then.